Good morning, students. Now we are going to start our classes on complex number, where we have, concluded in the last class. So, we will start with polar form of complex number. And if you recall, we touch base on this particular point, but today we are going to discuss in details about it. So, to understand the polar form of a complex number, I would like to tell you one important point, and that point is, the polar, coordinate system. So, we will discuss about these coordinate systems in details when we'll be in, when we'll be in discussion with coordinate geometry. But what I can tell you is that, dear students, when we represent something, something in context to coordinate geometry, we can represent in different reference frames. For example, that if we know about the Cartesian coordinate system, in Cartesian coordinate system, what we know, there is x-axis, okay, and there is a y-axis. As you see, dear students, I'm drawing that x dash ox and y dash oy, the two coordinate system, two coordinate axes which are mutually perpendicular to each other. And then if we plot a point P, suppose we want to plot a point P here, and if we make these coordinates is x comma y, what we know is that from the origin O is known as the origin O, we come up to the distance x, and after that we come up to the distance y. Correct? So this is known as the this is the fundamental of the Cartesian coordinate system. So suppose if we consider this point as A, then OA is x and AP is y. Correct? So this is what we are known about the Cartesian coordinate system. Now, if you see in this plane of two dimension, what you see in the plane of this digital screen is that if you represent a point, you need two reference points. As you see that two reference frames, very clearly to say two reference frames. Here, what are those two frames? One is that the x-axis, that is x dash ox or xox, the way you want to say, and the other one is a y-axis, y dash or y dash oy, whatever. So now with respect to this mutually perpendicular axis, we can represent a point in the plane uniquely. Okay, and that is why it is called the coordinate. Okay, now um, can you represent that same point uniquely using some different reference frames instead of these two mutually perpendicular straight lines? Yes, it is possible. And one such thing, that is what is actually a polar form. So what dear students, in case of polar coordinate system, what we do is that we have a fixed point, just like the origin in the Cartesian coordinate system, and we have a fixed straight line. So what we see is that we have a fixed point and we have a fixed straight line. Then what we do, dear student, is that we choose a point. We choose a point P here in this coordinate system. Okay, suppose this is a point P. And how we are going to describe this point, The point P we are going to describe by means of two parameters. First parameter is known as R, and the second parameter is known as theta. So as we see this, the point, we can say this as O. And what is that R and what is that theta? If you recall yesterday's class, I explained a little bit about it. You can follow that note also, which is available in YouTube. So what we can join O and P. The moment you join O and P, what you are going to get? You get this R. That R is OP. And what is theta, dear students? Theta is the positive angle, that is the anti-clockwise direction is known as the positive as long as the measurement of the angle is concerned, and that we define as theta. So due to with these two parameters r and theta, we are able to represent the point in the polar coordinate system. This is known as the polar coordinate system. This is a polar system, and the previous one, this is known as the Cartesian coordinate system. Now, dear students, look into it very carefully that just with one parameter, you really cannot represent a point uniquely. For example, in the Cartesian coordinate system, if I give, instead of this ordered pair x comma y, if I give either x or y, you are not able to explain it, you are not able to represent that point in the plane uniquely. I explained that you will get multiple points. If I say only x, you will get multiple points, which is in a line parallel to the y-axis, which are at the same distance x from that x-axis. Okay, so the thing is that then we really cannot represent that point uniquely. And the similar manner in the polar coordinate system, instead of r and theta, if I just say r or if I just say theta, it is not possible to represent a point uniquely. For example, if I just say r without mentioning theta, we can have multiple points. If you look into my previous class YouTube video lectures, is available. We can draw a circle, and as I explained, in that circle, all these points, dear students, all these points are actually at a distance r, but they represent different point. Why? Because their angle is different. Correct or not? If you take a point here, though it is r, if I consider this point as P1, OP1 is r, but the angle is different. Similarly, if we take only theta, that's the angle, then also we cannot represent that point uniquely, because we can have a vector, so not a point here, okay, P1, so which is, or say I can say P2, which is making the same angle, but at a where OP2 is different. So neither only r nor only theta represent the point uniquely in the polar coordinate system. So what we need both r and theta. Let me remove what I just drawn, I explained this thing. So now, as we learned that, in our earlier classes, that, we can represent a complex number in an Argand plane or a complex plane, then we can represent it in polar form. That's what we are discussing now. So it is possible to represent a polar form of the complex number. Now let's see how we are going to do it. Okay. So let zx plus iy be a complex number. Okay. And let me first bring the note here, and then I am going to explain you. Okay. If you see, dear students, let z equal to x plus iy be a complex number. Then its polar form of the complex number is as below. What is that? It is r cos theta plus I sin theta. Okay. So what is zx plus iy? Okay, is equal to r into cos theta plus I sin theta. That is a polar form of presentation. What is r? R is nothing but square root of x square plus y square. Okay. So the moment we express that x plus iy in terms of theta and r, there must be some relationship between r and theta. For example, I'm just taking this statement, and again I'll come back. So in this polar coordinate system and Cartesian coordinate system, we can make an relationship. For example, whatever the green line you see, dear students, in the polar coordinate system, I can merge with the x-axis in the Cartesian coordinate system. Then what will happen? The same point, what is xy in the Cartesian coordinate system, will become if I draw it here, that this is the Cartesian coordinate system. I explained it yesterday, though I just want to touch base once more. So this is x o x dash, this is y o y dash, and what we get, dear students, there is a point P here, okay, with coordinate x comma y, And the same coordinate, what we say is that r comma theta in the polar coordinate system. Then what happened? So what we get is that OP is equal to r, and if you see this angle is equal to theta, and if we consider this point as A, OA is equal to what? X, and AP equal to y, correct or not? Now we know, trigonometric ratios. We can apply the concept of trigonometric ratios. What we are going to get? The relationship between r and theta. We can say that cos theta is equal to x by r, and sin theta is equal to y by r, correct now? And we know sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. So from here, what we can get? We get x square by r square plus y square by r square is equal to 1. So from here, what we get? R is equal to positive square root of x square plus y square. We are not considering the negative one, because r cannot be less than 0, no? Because it is a length of that line segment, you can say OP. So this is r. Okay, so r in terms of x and y, and also from this cos theta is equal to x by r and sin theta is equal to y by r. What I can see, dear students, is that tan of y by x equal to theta, correct or not? Tan of y by x is equal to theta. And dear students, if you looked into my video lectures on inverse trigonometric function, you must be agree to me that I can write theta is equal to tan inverse of y by x. So what you do, dear students, is that we write r in terms r and theta in terms of x and y. Also, we can write x and y in terms of r and theta. Both we can do. So so what we have x comma y, that is the Cartesian coordinate system, the coordinate of a point, and we have r comma, let me write it here, we have r comma theta in the polar coordinate system. So what is from these two, what is the relationship we can bring? We can write x and y in terms of r and theta. What is that? That is x is equal to r cos theta and y is equal to r sin theta. Correct, dear students? And we can also express that r and theta in terms of x and y. What is r? R is equal to square root of x square plus y square. And what is theta? Theta is equal to tan inverse of y by x. So with this, what we are doing, dear students, is that we can convert from one coordinate system to the other coordinate system by means of these transformation equations, what you see. Anyway, as I said, we will discuss all these things in details when we come to the coordinate geometry discussion. But what we are going to do now is that we are going to see the few points here, dear students, is that where r when we, as we just learned, is that if z is equal to x plus iy is a complex number, then we can represent that complex number in the polar form as r into cos theta plus I sin theta. Now cos theta plus I sin theta, r is equal to square root of x square plus y square, is known as the modulus of the complex number z. We are all aware of it. You have already solved few DPPs. Cos theta is equal to x by r, sin theta equal to y by r, that we just derived from the trigonometric ratios. And from the fundamental knowledge of inverse trigonometric function, we can say theta equal to tan inverse y by x is known as the argument of the complex number z. So theta is known as the argument of the complex number z. So what we learned, dear students, that when you represent a complex number in the polar form, then that r is known as the modulus of the complex number and theta is known as the argument of the complex number. So there is r cos theta plus I sin theta. This is the polar form of representation. R stands for the modulus of the complex number z, and theta stands for the argument of the complex number z. Now for any complex number z not equal to 0, there corresponding only one value of theta between 0 to 2 pi. Okay, including 0, excluding 2 pi. And for principal argument, dear students, we discussed yesterday, and in a very tabular format. The principal argument is the argument for which the angle is in between minus pi to pi, excluding minus pi but including pi. And that is denoted by argument of z. And as you see, dear students, in my previous class, I explained that how to find the argument, right? And you understood it very well, I know. Now, what we are going to discuss, dear students, is that a very important topic that is called the cube root of unity. That is our next point of discussion, and we'll find some very interesting observations from that. What is the cube root of unity? Let me let me explain you first. What is cube root of unity? If you see the name cube root, okay, of unity, that means as it 1 power 1 by 3, correct? No? Cube root, square root is what? Power 1 by 2. Cube root is power 1 by 3. But cube root of what? Cube root of unity. Unity means what? 1. So as if like that, we are going to find the value of that 1 power 1 by 3. And what is the best way we can represent, dear students? To find the cube root of unity, we need to solve. This is the equation, isn't it, dear students? X cube equal to 1. We are going to solve this equation, x cube equal to 1. That, if we solve, then we will find what are the cube roots of unity. 1 answer to 1. You can always say, sir, this equation is satisfied by x equal to 1. But dear students, if you remember from the fundamental understanding, a polynomial equation of degree n has at most n roots, correct or not? So here it is a polynomial equation of degree 3, so it should have 3 roots. But what are the other 2 roots? One root, though, just by inspection without touching the pen and paper, I can say x equal to 1. But what are the other 2 roots? That also you need to find, and that we are going to find in the next few minutes. So now, and it is very simple, dear students. So how we are going to find it out? We can write that x cube minus 1 is equal to 0. The moment I write x cube minus 1 equal to 0, dear students, that means x cube minus 1 cube equal to 0. Now we can write a cube minus b cube, dear students. What is that? A cube minus b cube, a minus b into a square plus ab plus b square equal to 0. If you recall, this is the 9th standard identity.
Yes.
In class 9 we learned this. So now what it says, either x minus 1 equal to 0 or x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0, correct or not? We are just going through the free flow of our common understanding. A into b equal to 0, that means either a equal to 0 or b equal to 0. In this case, x minus 1 into x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0, that means either x minus 1 equal to 0 or x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0. This implies what? This implies, dear students, this implies either x is equal to 1, this is one root, what you already found it out without touching the pen and paper before beginning the discussion. Or what we see, dear students, the next one, that is x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0, that is a quadratic equation. And we know how to solve a quadratic equation. We can apply the formula for solution of the quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c. If I just give you a recap, dear students, ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. What are the 2 roots? The roots are, this implies x is equal to minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4 into a into c divided by 2a. I hope all of you are able to recall it, dear students.
Yes.
Then what we are going to find, x is equal to minus b. What is b here? B is 1, na? So minus 1 plus minus square root of b square. B square means 1 square is 1 minus 4 into A is 1 into C is also 1 divided by 2 into 1. Correct or not? So from here, what we get, dear students, so if we simplify it, so let me write in the next slide. So what we are going to get, here we are going to get either x equal to 1 or x is equal to minus 1 plus minus square root of 1 minus 4 divided by 2. Now square root of 1 minus 4 is what, dear students? Root 3 into I. All of you are aware of it. So what we are going to get then? Either x is equal to 1 or x is equal to minus 1 plus minus square root of 3 into I divided by 2. So finally what we are going to get? So finally what we are going to get is that we are getting three values of x. X equal to 1. Then we can consider x is equal to minus 1 plus root 3 into I by 2. And we get 1 minus 1 minus root 3 into I by 2. Now let's go back to the equation. X cube equal to 1 was our equation. And we know from the polynomial equation that a polynomial equation of degree n has at most n roots. And these are the three roots. As it is a polynomial equation of degree 3. So these are the three roots. You know, dear students, when I say a polynomial equation of degree n has at most n roots, that means is that it can have either n roots or less than that. Sometimes we get less than that when we have the same root repeated multiple times. So these are the three values of x, what we get. Now, what does it mean? It means is that if you take, second one, minus 1 plus root 3 I by 2, and if you make a cube of that, you will get 1. And similarly, if you take x equal to minus 1 minus root 3 into I by 2 whole cube, that is also you will get going to 1 because it is satisfying the equation. So these are the three, cube roots of unity. And obviously x equal to 1, so obviously 1 to the power 3 is 1. Now there is a special name of it. Okay, how these imaginary cube roots of unity are actually expressed. This term, dear students, what you see, that minus 1 plus root 3 into I by 2, that we can define as, omega. What is this term you see now, dear students? That we can write, instead of, you can write this as omega. And if we write this as omega, then if you make a square of this omega, what you will get, dear students? Now, you will get minus 1 minus root 3 I by 2. And that is we get is as a omega square. Important point is that if we name that minus 1 plus root 3 into I by 2 as omega, then we will get that minus 1 minus root 3 into I by 2 as omega square. How to do? You can just make a square of this thing, minus 1 plus root 3 I by 2 whole square. You will get minus 1 minus root 3 I by 2. Okay, I can show it to you here. So what we get here, let me write it here. So that omega is equal to what? Minus 1 plus root 3 into I by 2. Now what we are going to do? We are going to do omega square. So omega square if we do, then what it will be? It will be 1 by 4 and minus 1 whole square. Let me write elaborately so that you can resemble later. Minus 1 whole square, then plus root 3 into I whole square minus 2 into root 3 into I. I hope you agree to me. Then what we are going to get, dear students? Omega square is equal to 1 by 4. And inside the bracket, what we are getting? Minus 1 whole square is 1. Root 3 I whole square is equal to minus 3. Minus 3 and minus 2 into root 3 into I. So from here, what we are going to get, dear students, omega square is equal to, 1 by 4 minus 2 into root 3 into I. So what we get, dear students, omega square is equal to, you can take 2 common from the bracket, then what we are going to get, minus 1 minus root 3 into I by 2. What I showed you earlier here. Now it is vice versa also. That means what? I can use a different color and explain this thing. You can consider this as omega. If you consider this as omega, then you will find omega square will be the other one. That means if we consider omega as minus 1 minus root 3I by 2, then if you make a square, then you will get minus 1 plus root 3I by 2. Let me do it so that you will get amply clear. Okay, so what is that? That let us consider omega is equal to minus 1 minus root 3I by 2. Then what we are going to get omega square, dear students? Omega square will be 1 by 4. We can take minus 1 common, so minus 1 whole square. So what you can write, 1 plus root 3 into I whole square. I hope all of you are agree to me. At any point you do not agree, never hesitate to ask me. So that implies omega square is equal to 1 by 4. Minus 1 whole square is 1. We all know. Then what we are going to get? It is 1 square plus root 3 into I whole square plus 2 into 1 into root 3 into I. So from here, what we are going to get, dear students? Omega square is equal to 1 by 4. It is 1. 1 square is 1. Root 3I whole square is what? Minus 3. And plus 2 into root 3 into I. So from here, what we are going to get, dear students? Omega square is equal to 1 by 4 minus 2 plus 2 into root 3 into I. So from here, we get omega square is equal to, you can take 2 common and you get cancel 2 common from the bracket, you can cancel out. So then you get minus 1 plus root 3 into I by 2. And that's what I have shown you here. So that means there is no, very concrete, rule that you need to choose omega is equal to minus 1 plus root 3I by 2. Or omega is equal to minus 1 minus root 3I by 2. But the point is that if you choose one as omega, the other become omega square. So what we understood, dear students? We understood that there are 3 roots to the equation. So what we understood? There are 3 roots to the, equation. What are the 3 roots? Okay. 1, omega and omega square. Okay. So what we see is that, we find that the equation x cube equal to 1. So we find the equation x cube equal to 1 having following 3 roots. What are the roots? 1, omega and omega square. Here omega equal to, we can say, minus 1 plus root 3 into I by 2. It doesn't mean that you need to take this one. You can take the other one also, as I explained, but let's take omega equal to this. So this is the conclusion, what we get. Now, there are some important observations. There are a lot of questions comes in the entrance examinations, related to 1 omega and omega square. So it is important that we should focus on some properties on related to 1 omega and omega square. What are those? So these are the, what I'm going to tell is that these are the important results, following are the important results involving cube root of unity. And I will strongly recommend you to remember this thing, because these are going to help you a lot in solving problems related to, omega, omega square, and their different, composition. What are those? I'm just going to write it out here, dear students, and followed by I will explain you. And here it is. So first point, what you see, dear students, is that omega power 3 is equal to 1. That means what? If you take this as omega, if you take this value as omega, whatever I wrote here, no? So if you take this value as omega, and if you make a cube of it, the way I did square of it here, okay, in the previous one, in the similar manner, if you do cube of it, you will get 1. You can experiment this thing if you wish. And it is also not required to be experiment. You can tell from the fundamental definition of the roots of a polynomial equation. If I say that x cube equal to 1 has roots 1 omega omega square, that means omega is a root to x cube equal to 1, na? So obviously omega should be satisfied x. What I'm saying, simply telling, if I say fx is equal to 0, that means what is fx here? X cube minus 1 is equal to 0. So what is fx? Fx is equal to x cube minus 1, na, dear students? Now what we are saying is that, here we are saying is that omega is a root. So obviously, if omega should be equal to 0, that means what? Omega cube minus 1 equal to 0, which tells that omega cube equal to 1. So this is the first point, that omega cube equal to 1. And the second point is that 1 plus omega square is equal to 0, where omega and omega square are the roots of the equation x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0. I would like to little bit of deep dive into this particular point here, students. If you see about this one, if you see that what was our original equation? Our original equation was, x cube minus 1 equal to 0. So from here what we see, x minus 1 into x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0. Now x cube minus 1 equal to 0, that root we already found it out is 1. So then x square plus x plus 1 will have the other two roots, no? That is omega and omega square. And that is why this statement is there, that 1 plus omega, as omega and omega square are roots, obviously what we can say, 1 plus omega square plus omega plus 1 equal to 0. Correct or not? So from here what we can say, that omega square plus omega plus 1 equal to 0. And also you can say that if we take omega square as a root, then omega square square, I hope all of you are able to get it, plus omega square plus 1 equal to 0. But if you see, it will turn out to be 1 plus omega square. What is omega? Omega square square, it is omega power 4. Omega power 4 plus omega square plus 1 equal to 0. Dear students, what is omega power 4? Omega cube into omega plus omega square plus 1 equal to 0. Now what is omega cube? Omega cube equal to 1, as we see the first important result. So that implies what? Omega plus omega square plus 1 equal to 0. That means with all this detailed derivation, I just wanted to show you that you can interchange omega and omega square, not a big deal. Okay, so this is the second point what we learned. Now the rest of the points, dear students, it is you need to remember this thing, and you can derive also. You can prove also. This is, you can consider as an advanced identities. X cube plus 1 is equal to x plus 1 into x plus 1 omega into x plus omega square. X cube minus 1 is equal to x minus 1 into x minus omega into x minus omega square. A cube plus b cube, you can write in the form with omega and omega square as a plus b into a plus b omega into a plus b omega square. Similarly, you can write a cube minus b cube as a minus b into a minus b omega into a minus b omega square. And then you can say a square plus b square plus c square minus ab minus bc minus ca. We can write it as a plus b omega into c omega square into a plus b omega square plus c omega. And finally, a cube plus b cube plus c cube minus 3abc, you can write it as a plus b plus c into a plus b omega plus c omega square into a plus b omega square plus c omega. So these are the important results I will strongly recommend you to remember. As I said earlier, that you are going to, it is going to help you a lot in solving problems related to the cube roots of unity. Now, as long as the cube roots of unity is concerned, this is the last point. What I'm going to tell you is about the multiplication table for 1 omega and omega square. In fact, I can, though I place it here, I can do along with you. Okay, and you can resemble it actually. Okay, or let me remove it. Let me do it by, and then I'll put it there. So what is the multiplication table for 1 omega and omega square? Let me do it. Let us all do it together. So multiplication table, you know, and this is, we have done so many times earlier. So multiplication table for 1 omega and omega square is something like this, that we will write 1, then omega, then omega square. Okay, I complete this. And similarly, in the row wise, I'm writing 1 omega square. Correct, dear students? So I'm just writing this table. Let me complete the table properly. And also, let me draw the horizontal lines. Now here is the multiplication. And as you know, multiplication table means 1 into omega is what? Omega. Let me write in a different color. 1 into omega is 1 into 1 is 1. 1 into omega is omega. 1 into omega square is omega square. Omega into 1 is omega. Omega into omega is omega square. Omega into omega square is omega power 3, which is equal to 1. Omega square into 1 is omega square. Omega square into omega is omega power 3, which is equal to 1. And then omega square into omega square, that is equal to omega power 4, that is nothing but omega cube into 1, and that is nothing but omega. Now, whatever you see in the, I have written in the blue color, is a result of the multiplication table. So why I wrote this multiplication table? What is the big deal here? You know, if you see that all the elements, what I wrote in the blue color, is actually the elements of the original set 1 omega omega square. If you see that 1 omega omega square, if we consider the initial set as 1 omega and omega square, and what we see is that all that, if you take any two elements from this set 1 omega omega square and multiply them, whatever the result you are going to get, that belongs to the same set. And this kind of set has a particular property with respect to this operation called multiplication. That is called the closure operation. Dear students, whenever we will discuss the functions in details, there we will see the closure operations comes into the picture. But in simple terms, what is a closure operation? Closure operation is that, I just write in simple terms in a different color as it came into the context of this discussion. An operator star, suppose star is an operator. Instead of dot, I'm just writing star. Star is a generic operator. You can consider plus, minus, multiplication, division, or any operation what you want to define. An operator is said to be closed with respect to a set S with respect to set S if A star B belongs to S for all A, B belongs to S. You can resemble this statement with respect to the multiplication table what I have done. How you compare? Your S becomes, if you make an analogy, S becomes 1 omega square. And what is a star becomes? Star is actually become the multiplication dot. Now you take any two element among 1 omega square, multiply them, whatever you will get, that belongs to the set S. So this is known as the closure property. This known also as a closure property, and also we say in a different way, the operator is closed with respect to the set S. Also it is known as a closure property. Dear students, whenever we will discuss, as I said, in function in details, then we will see that this is coming into the picture. So with this, dear students, we are done with the basics of complex numbers. There are more advanced topics of complex number that we will be discussing later, not now. Why? Because these are not too relevant at this moment of our preparation. But the moment we'll come to those, then we will, we will, discuss, and all these things will be available to the, online platform for future, view. And what are the advanced topics? This is called the De Moivre's theorem, then nth root of unity. What we see today, cube root of unity. Then you can find the nth root of unity, then nth root of a complex number, the rational power of a complex number, logarithm of a complex number, geometrical representation of algebraic operations on complex number. All these things we will be learning in details, and other relevant points. Now, what I would like to do, dear students, I would like to, solve a couple of problems along with, you. So that will be good, because you need to solve the DPPs, okay? But I want you to, solve these questions as well, okay? So give me a minute so that I can give you some questions. So this problem all of us will do together. As you see, dear students, the question is that we need to find the amplitude of this complex number. What is that? Sine pi by 5 plus I into 1 minus cos pi by 5. You need to find the amplitude of this complex number. And you can start doing it, and do let me know. You can take some time, a minute or so, to find it out, and I'll also help you. Okay, dear students, so let me help you in solving it. If someone find the answer, never hesitate to let me know. What about the answer? If you think, then you please let me know. So what is the complex number here, dear students? Here is that sine pi by 5 plus I into 1 minus cos pi by 5. So if you look into it, there are multiple ways you can do this particular sum. That first we need to understand what. The moment where the question is related to amplitude, you need to find that in which quadrant this complex number belongs. Can someone please tell me in which quadrant this complex number belongs? Okay. So this complex number belongs to the first quadrant. Why? Because sine pi by 5 is positive. Why? Between 0 to 90 degree, anything is positive, correct or not? So the pi by 5 is less than 90 degree. Na? So definitely sine pi by 5 is positive. All of you got my point, dear students? And cos pi by 5 is also positive, but its value is always less than 1. So 1 minus cos pi by 5 definitely less than 1. So we understood one thing, that this is in the first quadrant. So as it is in the first quadrant, so it is very simple. What is that amplitude of, or z? It is tan inverse of 1 minus cos pi by 5 by sin pi by 5. Correct or not? Without touching the pen and paper.
Not pi by 10.
Fantastic. It is a correct answer, pi by 10. Correct. Thank you, Sagnik. It is absolutely the correct answer. But find it out how we are going to get the pi by 10. So what we can write, dear students, if you see, there are multiple ways you can do. This thing. And another thing is that we can write 2 into pi by 10. Sin pi by 5, we can write sin 2 into pi by 10. And if you recall, dear students, there is a formula of 1 minus cos 2 theta is equal to 2 sine square theta. So similarly, we can write here 1 minus cos 2 theta is there. That means what we can write is that 1 minus cos of 2 into pi by 10. I'm taking the assistance of trigonometry to solve it here. So it become 2 sine pi by 10 into cos pi by 10. If you recall the formula of 2 sine 2 theta, 2 sine theta cos theta, and 1 minus 2 cos theta is equal to 2 sine square theta. So that is equal to I into 2 into sine square pi by 10. So what we can take from here is that you can take 2 sine pi by 10 common. 2 sine pi by 10, if you take common, what you are going to get? You are going to get cos of pi by 10 plus I sine pi by 10. So now what will be the argument? Argument as if that 2 sine pi by 10 doesn't come into the picture because it will get cancelled in numerator and denominator. So amplitude of Z is actually tan inverse of, you can write this thing as a simplicity 2 sine pi by 10 as into sine pi by 10 divided by 2 sine pi by 10 into cos pi by 10. That is equal to what? That is equal to tan inverse of tan pi by 10. Tan inverse of tan pi by 10 is equal to pi by 10. And we get the correct answer as, dear students, we get the correct answer as C. Clear, dear students? Okay. Now, one more problem we are going to do, and then we'll conclude our statement. So the question here is that I'm just going to give you in the next page. So here the question is, if 3 by 2 plus cos theta plus I sin theta is equal to a plus ib, then what is the value of a minus 2 whole square plus b square? So this question is an amalgamation of, trigonometry and, and the fundamentals of complex numbers. Trigonometric simplification is more important. What you need to do first in this question, dear students, is that you need to first express in the form of a plus ib, so that you can express a in terms of theta and b in terms of theta. Theta means I wanted to mean is the trigonometric, function of theta, means with sine theta, cos theta, like that. And then you need to find the value of a minus 2 whole square plus b square. Okay. We can start solving together. First, what you need to do is that, as I just said, we need to express that complex number, that is 3 by 2 plus cos theta plus I sin theta, in the form of a plus ib. And let's see how we are going to do it. Anyway, I'm explaining it slowly. If someone is able to do it, never hesitate to let me know what is your answer. So what is the complex number here? Here the complex number is 3 by 2 plus cos theta plus I sin theta, dear students. Then what we know is that we need to multiply both numerator and denominator by its conjugate. So that becomes what? That becomes, what you can write is that 3 into 2 plus cos theta minus I sin theta. And here it is 2 plus cos theta plus I sin theta into 2 plus cos theta minus I sin theta. Correct, dear students? Then what we are going to get it out of is that we write as it is in the numerator what is there. Okay, so numerator we can write just a plus ib form, and denominator what we are going to get, dear students, is that something like, this, that 2 plus cos theta whole square plus sine square theta. Correct or not? So what we are going to get it here is that, you will get 3 into 2 plus cos theta minus I into 3 into sine theta, and denominator we get 2 plus cos theta whole square minus I square sine square theta. I square is minus 1, so minus I square become plus 1, so plus sine square theta. Now what you need to do is that you need to little simplify. So if we simplify, what we are going to get? We are going to get 3 into 2 plus cos theta plus I into minus 3 sine theta divided by 2 plus cos theta whole square is equal to 4 plus cos square theta plus 4 cos theta plus sine square theta. So from here what we are going to get, dear students, is that we are going to get 3 into 2 plus cos theta plus I into minus 3 sine theta. So cos square theta plus sine square theta is 1. So 4 plus 1 is 5. So 5 plus 4 cos theta. Then what we are going to write here is that, dear students, is that we can write that this is in the form of a plus ib, is a 3 into 2 plus cos theta by 5 plus 4 cos theta. So what I'm saying, dear students, so we can write this is equal to 3 into 2 plus cos theta divided by 5 plus 4 cos theta. This is the real part, which is actually a plus I into minus 3 sin theta divided by 5 plus 4 cos theta. Let me give a first bracket only, second bracket is not required. So what is A? So we get, if we express this in terms of A plus IB, so what we are going to get A? We get A is equal to 3 into 2 plus cos theta divided by 5 plus 4 cos theta, and B is equal to minus 3 sin theta divided by 5 plus 4 cos theta. After that, what we are supposed to find, if you look into the question, dear students, we are supposed to find A minus 2 whole square plus B square. So we need to find the value of A minus 2 whole square plus B square. Now, the moment we need to find A minus 2 whole square plus B square, as you see, it becomes a, pure simplification of, the, a trigonometric simplification. Pure simplification. Yes.
So I am getting 1.
Correct. 1 is the correct answer. Very good. Appreciate. So what we get? A minus 2. Good. 3 into 2 plus cos theta divided by 5 plus 4 cos theta minus 2 complete whole square plus B square. B square is what? Minus 3 sin theta divided by 5 plus 4 cos theta complete whole square. Let me complete it. You also do along with me, others. So if we look into it, what we are going to get then? We need to simplify. So let's keep the denominator remains the same. Then what we are going to get, dear students, so denominator become 5 plus 4 cos theta whole square. So denominator, what we are going to get? The denominator first I write, it becomes 5 plus 4 cos theta whole square. And then in the numerator, what we are going to get is that for the first one, you get minus 4 minus 5 cos theta whole square. So that becomes, here we write minus 4 minus 5 cos theta whole square plus what we are getting here is that, dear students, is that minus 3 sin theta whole square is 9 sin square theta. So plus 9 into sin square theta. Now you can take minus 4 minus 5 cos theta whole square is nothing but 4 plus 5 cos theta whole square. So that you can simplify, correct or not? If we simplify, what we are going to get? 4 plus 5 cos theta whole square is 16 plus 25, cos square theta plus 40 cos theta plus 9 sin square theta. Do you agree to me, dear students? So now what we are going to do here is that, we need to make a little simplification of the in a numerator. So as we see, 25 cos square theta plus 9 sin square theta. So 25 cos square theta we can break into 9 cos square theta plus 9 cos square theta plus 16 cos square theta. That 9 cos square theta will merge with 9 sin square theta become 9. So what we can write, dear students? Okay, denominator remains the same. 5 plus 4 cos theta whole square. And from here, what we can write is that that is equal to 16 plus 9 you are getting, no? That 9 cos square theta plus 9 sin square theta. Then after that, what we left with? 16 cos square theta plus, 40 cos theta divided by 5 plus 4 cos theta whole square. So now what we are getting, dear students? So we are getting 25. 16 plus 9 is 25. 25 we can write 5 whole square plus 16 cos square theta we can write is that 4 cos theta whole square, and 40 cos theta we can write something like this, 2 into 5 into 4 cos theta. Why we write like so? Because that gives us a formula, that is a plus b whole square. So denominator, let me write what as it is. So in the numerator, what you get, dear students, a square plus b square plus 2ab. So that becomes a plus b whole square, 5 plus 4 cos theta whole square divided by 5 plus 4 cos theta whole square, and that is nothing but equal to 1, since 5 plus 4 cos theta cannot be equal to 0. And hence we get the correct answer as as you correctly said, Mohor, it's option B, which is 1. So dear students, what I wanted to say is that like this, I strongly recommend, those, are viewing my video lectures in future also. All of you are aware, but those who will look into these video lectures, I will strongly recommend, you please, go to www.konarclasses.com and appear for. So what I can say is that go to www.konarclasses.com and appear, and you can look for DP video lectures. First one is that video lectures. Then second one is that DPPs, daily practice problems. You can go for then PTs, as you are aware, dear students, practice tests. Then you can go for UTs, that is known as the unit tests. Then you can go to MDTs, that is known as module tests. And finally, you can go for MTs, that is known as mock tests. So with this, dear students, so I would like to conclude the class for today, unless you have any specific question for me. Please complete the rest of the DPPs as available in the online test platform. You do at your own pace, but what I will strongly recommend, please complete it in another 2 to 3 days. So, dear students, tomorrow we will start a new topic, and I'll communicate to you accordingly. Okay. Thank you very much.